So what is going on, you guys? It's your boy Amaziah here, and we're finally going to be hopping into my Kingdom Hearts 3 Monsters Inc D23 2018 Japan Expo trailer. And yes, I said all of that in one go. Finally, we're hopping into it. I know it took me a minute to finally get to this analysis, but my script kept changing. I wanted to make sure my information was kind of accurate, or actually accurate. Why would I say kind of accurate? I wanted to make sure my information was accurate, and there was a lot of course, news and stuff that was coming out, so I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't nothing that was said that would contradict anything I would say in my analysis. There was also a lot of screenshots released, so I took some good looks at them, and then, of course, applied that information that we got to, of course, my analysis, and I also watched the Monsters Inc movie all over again to make sure that I knew exactly what went down in that movie, since I haven't seen it since I was a child. So definitely, I hope you guys enjoyed the analysis, and this is my Kingdom Hearts 3 Monsters Inc D23 2018 Japan Expo trailer analysis. Once Sora has made it to the hole on this platform, we see two signs that read danger. I don't think this applies to fall damage, but something else in particular, because fall damage has never been in Kingdom Hearts. So we see the CDA helicopter for a second, and it uses its searchlight to sign on Sora's destination. This is what I believe the danger signs are for. I believe that this jump has to be very specific, or Sora will be trapped amidst a way of the Heartless. On Sora's way down, we see a highlighted yellow panel, so there's also that too that indicates that this is where Sora was meant to go. Now before we move along, let's talk about the set piece and view that we have here and how it may correlate to what we see going on. We see Mike and Sully's work building in the background and what appears to be Monstropolis from the movie being sporadically spread out about the piece. If you look at these buildings, we don't see a single light peering through a single window, so I'm guessing this takes place during one of those power outages we can read about in the newspapers at the beginning of the film. There's a lot of construction as well, so maybe the outage is caused by the Heartless and Unversed, as it seemed like, of course, Monstropolis was in prosperity before they got here. When Sora drops below him, we see that highlighted panel, so maybe they're trying to find another way into Monsters Inc. And in the background, we also see what appears to be a shipping bay or a shipping dock, so maybe that's where Sora was in the leaks, to where we get to see those kind of trailers that be connected to like 18-wheelers. And of course we also see this kind of factory or plantation of sorts. So maybe that's where they wind up by the end of this world's, of course, runtime. Finally, moving along, we jump to the screen floors that Mike and Sully work in. Now let's talk about enemies. We see some new Heartless and Unversed are back, and all these guys are looking just as wacky and different as ever. We see one that looks like a snake, which may be based on Randall Boggs. The others look like a pincer beetle crossed with a ladybug. Although it's hype that the Unversed are back, I do still have my reservations about their return. We see one of the beetles are frozen from Blizzard, obviously, but as soon as Sora casts Dundaga, we see that this same exact beetle just immediately goes on the offensive. Now, with all the new options Sora possesses, I do believe that yes, enemies should have more viable options. Enemies should have more complexity built into them. So if this is something that actually works, then fine. But I don't believe that the Unversed may be fully programmed yet, or they may not be, tweaked yet to the right way they want them to be, due to the fact that we know that back in 2015, which was just short of 3 years ago, of course, obviously Tetsuya Nomura was telling us that he wasn't sure if they wanted to put, of course, the Unversed into Kingdom Hearts 3, and that was during like E3, not the end of the year. So I don't think that they would be ready to go just yet. We're introduced to the level 1 Keyblade transformation for this world's correlating Keyblade, and we see Boo's door during the transformation. I wonder if the transformation will have anything to do with sending Boo home, and it's named Quick Claws. But what we see of it actually reminds me of Darkest Fears, Riku's Link style with his very first Dream Eater in Dream Drop Distance. And it's fine if they rehash, of course, the animations and the idea of it. I just wanted to make it apparent that it does look that way to me. This got me really excited in the trailer, as we know that this place is where the chase scene occurs in the film. Though I highly doubt we'll be jumping through doors, a nigga can dream. But what we see is that Sora is dodging what appears to be thunder. There's no hit on its source, but later in this same exact segment, we see some Heartless spawn in. But a close-up tells us that these are the blue Rhapsody, so they didn't cause what we see. But we do see a bit of their new animation they have before dispersing ice, and it doesn't fail, they too have the formation around them. Also, we see the option to rail slide and take cover. Nomura, what happened to there being no QTE in Kingdom Hearts 3? Maybe he changed his mind. Next we jump to the Kingdom of Corona and we finally get to see Flynn and Rapunzel. We don't see much of anything new from Sora himself, but we see some of Flynn and Rapunzel's attacks, so let's go ahead and talk about them. As we had hoped back in 2015, and yes, some of us really did hope for this, Rapunzel does in fact use her long hair to attack. It also interacts with the environment as we see her latch onto a tree and swing. It should be noted though that throughout the sequence, I only saw her swinging from trees with these vines on them, so maybe regular trees, which we do get to see in the trailer, she won't be able to swing from. While Flynn uses a pan and a barrel. Like, what the fuck? They couldn't give my man a sword? Moving on though, we see Sora using the same combo from the last trailer and it leads into his Mirage Staff. But we don't know if Sora utilized any magic to achieve it, as we know the staff is a magic amplifier. If I'm saying this right, we can see Goofy skating on his shield, so they took that right out of course, Breath of the Wild. Just kidding, guys, don't take me seriously. Now moving on to my favorite part of the segment, Sora finally whipping out the Mirage Staff and laying down that pipe. Now, we don't see it in the Monsters Inc trailer, but in the theme trailer we see the animation when he releases the staff, and it looks so damn cool. Talking more about the Monsters Inc trailer though, we see Sora gains the ability to hover when the staff is in use, and it has the same backhanded motion that Sora does with his Keyblade in Wisdom form. In the background here, there's also a tree with an opening that may house a chest. We also get confirmation that the Wind Guys still have their immediate vicinity attack that allows them to wrap it around themselves and move around at high speeds to attack you. After all that, we get to see Sora swimming, which may be a wink wink nudge nudge that the world may have secret areas that won't require flow motion like other worlds that we've seen and that Tetsuya Nomura mentioned. And speaking of swimming, we get the most beautiful scene in the trailer overall, in which Ariel is summoned. So character summons have made their return. If we look at this more close up, it's possible she'll only be able to be summoned above water though, as we see her going for the water after she takes her jump. The surrounding areas enemies doesn't have any effect from what Ariel does, so I'm guessing she isn't fully programmed. But it's nice to see that the decision to bring back character summons went through, as once again Tetsuya Nomura did say that he wasn't sure if he wanted to do it due to all of the stuff that Sora already possessed. The flow of things doesn't stop though, as Sora next reveals the shot lock of the Mirage Staff. But we see the options, so let's go ahead and give them a read. We see one option named Spectral Ray, which is the option that Sora goes for and that we see. It should also be noted Marluxia's nobodies are the enemies that Sora is facing here, mostly, but we also get to see the original Dusk from Kingdom Hearts 2 as well. This area is also filled with a strong fog, so maybe this is coming close to around the end of the world. Right after the shot lock, we are shown the finisher of the Mirage Staff, which becomes a huge tower that's obviously supposed to replicate the tower that Rapunzel was stuck in, and it sends down more rays raining below. Miscellaneous things to mention is that the MP bars of Rapunzel and Flynn deplete throughout the sequence, and of course we also get to see this thing at the bottom of that tower that Sora summons, and it kind of does this whole spread attack at the bottom so that way enemies don't just get up under it. Now jumping to Toy Story, we are welcomed to a room of balls. It appears we're still in Galaxy Toys, as through the window we can see huge dice and other toys we can't fully make out. There's a brief showcase of another one of the new enemies' attacks, and it uses this attack to fly right into Buzz and send him flying. We're shown the name of the teacups, Mad Teacups if we didn't get to see it before, and the options Cup Slide or Cancel, so it isn't that deep. We also are shown exactly why the cups ram each other, as they'll grind down the health of whatever is in the center of them. This may actually be useful against bosses that are grounded like the one we saw in Thebes, or in Olympus. Then we cut to the final boss of the Toy Story world, and the sheer scale of this battle seems to output that of even the Devil Swarm, which we thought was a hint at the scale of final battles in Kingdom Hearts 3. But niggas, we had no idea, as this battle is fucking huge, and obviously it brought hype and worry to a lot of fans, so let's take a deeper look as we always do when it comes to my analysis. So the battle sequence starts with Sora trying to evade these rockets as the giant Heartless ship spins, causing this tornado or gravity effect. I should say, as everything starts to lift off the ground when it's spinning around. This thing later, even after it ceases spinning, still keeps these things up in the air, so more than likely this is gravity rather than a tornado effect, or as everything would just drop back down. Now the worry comes in when we start to see all this stuff fly and Sora tries to steer clear apparently, but we don't know if he's spatially aware of the rockets or just simply everything in flight. We then see Buzz, Woody, and Sora hop onto a rocket with their icons releasing this flow of energy, indicating that this is most likely something that involves him calling on them both simultaneously. Now in the weekly Famitsu of today, I believe, since it's February 22nd, I think that they were actually going to talk about the link option that we have on the command menu finally. So more than likely they're going to be talking about this. As they ride the rocket upwards, we get a nice view of the surrounding area, and oh my god, are these niggas legit in the air? Or is this a room in Galaxy Toys that is just formed like this? I can't say right now because it seems like the Heartless actually reality warps everything around it, as of course later on we'll see when things get darker that the Heartless actually does change, of course, the scenery in the background. Right before the scene ends, we get a clear view of the Heartless in what appears to be in its phase 2, though it doesn't seem to have taken any damage, but maybe this is because it isn't programmed, much like I said Ariel doesn't seem to be programmed either. The final battle segment is back in the Monsters Inc world, and right off the bat we see a meter with Boo on it that says Laugh Power. Now there was a screenshot released alongside the trailer that showed the gang in these weird funny poses. I'm guessing this is the payoff for filling up Laugh Power. We also see Goofy standing next to a tornado that is blue in color, and of course it seems to be coming off of this glowing door. I'm guessing this follows the same plot line that the film had, to where Mike and Sully will jump through the doors to different places on the earth, but it will be more so indicating to us the doors of importance. But we also see these doors on the pallet jacks they use in the films to transport them to other spaces once they've been called down. So maybe this is Boo's door and they're trying to get it to the screen floors. As we saw in the trailer, Vanitas tosses an empty canister which rolls to Sora's feet, again hinting at the fact the objective in this world will be to get Boo home. So much for a canon world that shows sometimes Mike and Sully bring Boo to their world again, like we had hoped. Moving along, we see Sora use a dash and he grabs onto a pole utilizing flow motion the same way he did in Dream Drop Distance. We saw a little bit of this at the end of 2015 at the D23 Japan Expo that year. We then cut to the twin yo-yos and see the Laugh Power meter is now full and the situation command Scream Strike, and if you look closely when Sora actually activates this, Sora tosses Mike, but we see Sora and the gang once again in those poses while the Heartless are in a group. So it's quite literal when it says strike, as in strike in a game of bowling. Oh, we also finally see the Ice Heartless up close. We're then treated to the return of the Dream Eaters, which makes me wonder if this means Sora has learned how to bring them into reality like the Master of Masters, or is this the dream of the Monsters Inc world? We get the command menu for this ability with the name Wonder Balloon, and we see two options, Balloon Rush and Tornado Jump. We then see the Meow Wow enlarge and then pop, so I'm guessing that we don't get to see any of these two options unless this is the second, and of course the menu just goes back to normal right after this. So this could be the finisher. Maybe you have the option to go for the finisher right off the bat just to do a lot of splash damage in an immediate vicinity, or you can probably go for the initial one, which is the Balloon Rush, which may involve, of course, the Meow Wow attacking the enemies that you're locked onto. So thank you guys for tuning into my analysis. That pretty much wraps up everything that I had to say. I hope you guys truly did enjoy it. Of course, like always, I don't cover the cutscenes because I like to put some of the cutscene stuff into their own videos if there's anything to talk about, because usually when it comes to cutscenes with Kingdom Hearts 3, because we get so little of it, they try to make them important. They try to give us ones of importance. So this has been your boy Amaziah. Don't forget to do a little A-class gaming, and everything you do, don't forget to keep it A-class, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace the heck out.